Hello and welcome to Mr. Valentin's YouTube video for learning meter. The only thing you need for this YouTube video is the worksheet, which is available on my homework website. So make sure you have that ready so you can pause the video and practice before I reveal the answers. So let's begin. Words are divided into two different types of stresses and unstresses. When we say a word, we have a natural inflection in explaining the way that they're said. So we designate unstressed words by using this U symbol. And we designate words that are stressed, or syllables that are stressed, with this slash symbol. Some words or sentences will be iambic, which is designated by an unstressed and a stressed. Some words are designated trochaic, and these are signified by stressed, unstressed. Other words or sentences will be anapestic. Now these are more difficult. The anapestic and dactylic are far more complicated than iambic and trochaic. The anapestic is designated by unstressed, unstressed, stressed. And dactylic is designated by stressed, unstressed, unstressed. The most important part of learning meter is being able to count syllables. So the word changes. How many syllables does the word changes have? We know the word changes has 2 syllables. So above the word changes, we should have 2 marks. Now, how would we say this word? Would we emphasize the change, as in changes, or would we emphasize the S, as in changes? Obviously, we stress the change part of changes. So we would designate this word by stressed, unstressed, because we're stressing the change part of the word, not the S part of the word. Let's look at another. Highly. Would we stress the high part or the lee part? And we, of course, would stress the high part, because it's highly, not highly. Right? You might sound a little strange if you talk like that. Now let's look at the next word. The next word is immortal. How many syllables does immortal have? So we would say the word immortal. So this word has 3 syllables. So it would have 3 markings above it. Immortal. Which part of the word do we stress? Immortal, immortal, or immortal? So the part of the word that we would stress would be the mort part, immortal. So we would designate this immortal. Our next word is desire. Would you stress the D or the desire? Desire. 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 And of course, we would designate it desire. Now, when you're faced with individual words or when you're looking at a sentence and you don't know where to begin to scan the meter. You want to look for strong nouns or even strong verbs. Words like wolf, face, plump are usually stressed. Now there's always exceptions to the rules, but generally if you have an individual word that is strong, it's stressed. Similarly, articles are known as weak words, and they are often unstressed. The, a, to. So let's take a look at a sentence and try to scan the meter. To swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells. So when we look at a sentence, we may not know where to begin. Now, naturally, there's a rhythm to each word. And you may be able to hear it, and many of you who've been doing this now for a couple of weeks can easily figure out this sentence. But some people have issues. Alright, so the first thing we want to look for are the strong nouns. Words like gourd, plump, shells, even a word like swell. All of these are strong monosyllabic words. So this is easy. The rest of the rhythm should be obvious. This leaves us with the word hazel. Now, which part of hazel would we stress? The hazel, or would we say hazel? And obviously, we would say hazel. So what we're left with is a bunch of individual iambs. In this case, we're left with 5 iambs. But we're going to get into this a little bit later. So we could easily say that this sentence is iambic. Let's look at the next one. Dark behind it rose the forest. Dark behind it rose the forest. Again, you want to look for your strong monosyllabic words. Words like dark. Words like rose. You want to identify your weak word. The. So you want to now focus on the word behind. Would you emphasize the be part or the hind part? Behind or behind? Obviously, we would stress the hind part. It, generally considered a weak word. Forest, or would we say forest? Obviously, we would say forest. So this sentence, we see, has many individual trochees. So we would identify the sentence as trochaic. One more. Beat the clear and sunny water. Beat the clear and sunny water. We want to identify our monosyllabic words that are strong. Beat, clear. We want to identify our weak words, the, and. Now, what part of the word would we stress in the word sunny? The sun part or the knee part? Sunny. Or would we say, my, it is sunny outside? Obviously, we would say, my, it is sunny outside. So we would stress, unstress. And the same goes for water. So our sentence is also trochaic. It is not enough to simply identify if the sentence is iambic, trochaic, dactylic, or anapestic. We also have to identify how many iambs or trochees or dactyls are in a line. So, we do this by identifying these phrases right here. All of these. If we just have one iamb in a sentence or line, it would be iambic monometer. If we have two iambs, it would be iambic dimeter. If we have three iambs or three trochees or three anapests, it would be trochaic or iambic or anapestic trimeter. And all the way down, tetras for 4, pentameters for 5, hexameters for 6, heptameters for 7, and octameters for 8. So now we're going to look at some examples and identify whether they're iambic or trochaic or anapestic or dactylic, and whether they're trimeter, tetrameter, pentameter, etc. Alright, before we do these examples, you may want to pause the video and try them yourself on the worksheet. So let's begin. Tiger, tiger, burning brightly. Now, we don't have any strong monosyllabic words, but hopefully you can hear that the word is tiger, not tiger. So we would say tiger, tiger, burning, brightly. Notice what happens in each of these words. Words like burning and brightly. Your suffixes are not stressed. All right. Now we realize that the sentence is trochaic, but we want to split the sentence. All right. We want to put a little break in it so we can easily count how many trochees are in this sentence. And so this is trochaic tetrameter. Let's try another. In fair Verona where we lay our scene. Fair, that's a little tough. That word can really go either way, but you know, you may want to do these in pencil first off. And emphasize that. Where, we, lay, our, none of those seem overtly strong. Scene seems pretty strong. All right. Verona. How would we say that? Would we say Verona? Would we say Verona? Or would we say Verona? Obviously we would say Ver-on-a. Now at this point you should be able to see the rest of the rhythm. We lay our scene. Good. Now we want to splice this and count how many we have. You can splice in the middle of a word, as we do in Verona. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this sentence is iambic pentameter. All right. last one. And today the great Yertle, that marvelous he. Now, this one's a little difficult. All right, this is a Dr. Seuss quote. All right, we can immediately point out, let me use a different color, and the are not strong words. That, not strong words. Today, all right, or today. All right, we stress the day part. So immediately we notice this is not our usual type of iambic or trochaic. Hopefully you can just follow the meter all the way through, but for some they might need a little help, all right? Yertle, yertle, or yertle, yertle. Marvelous, 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 marvelous. We emphasize the mar part. All right. And hopefully you can just fill in the blanks. In this instance, great is not emphasized, and he is emphasized. All right. We want to break it up. So now we're breaking these up by anapaestics. So we're not cutting at every 2. In this instance, we're cutting at every 3 because we're counting how many anapaests we have in this sentence. We put our numbers. And so this is anapaestic, and 4 is tetrameter. Now the more you practice this, the easier this will become. Now for more rules. If a sentence ends with an extra, if the extra is stressed, we call it a masculine ending. And if the sentence ends in an unstressed and there's an extra, we call it a feminine ending. All right, so to be or not to be, that is the question. Again, nothing super strong, but they really do seem to be emphasizing the be. All right, and not. +2 is a weak word, or is a weak word, to is a weak word, that is a weak word, right, the is a weak word. All right, hopefully you see the rest of the rhythm. So now when we go to cut this up, 2, 3, 4. All right, if we were to cut this one, all right, this one's left all alone. This one's by itself. All right, so we count how many we have. And you can't count one alone because it's not technically an iambic. So we're going to call this, all right, it's iambic pentameter. Oops. But it has a feminine ending. So we would say iambic pentameter, all right, with a feminine ending. Next one. So in this example, all right, our only strong word really is the word night. All right. The, we know, is weak. Forests, all right, we'd emphasize the for part. We just fill in the blanks. We cut. All right, and the same issue occurs here. Only this time it's stressed, which means it's masculine. So in this instance, we have trochaic trimeter with a masculine ending. So let's try more examples. Again, you may want to pause the video, do these, come back, and watch the video, so that way you make sure you're doing it correctly. Alright, so, next sentence. Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December. Now, there's nothing here that really gives too many clues. Alright, you can never trust I enough to do anything. It can be stressed sometimes, it can be unstressed. Got nothing. Alright. So, we want to look at a word like remember. Would we say the word remember? Would we say remember? Or would we say remember? And obviously, we would say remember. And since this word rhymes with December, it becomes clear. In this instance, it seems that I is emphasized distinctly. All right. Would we say distinctly? Would we say distinctly? All right. Or would we say distinctly? All right. We emphasize the distinct part. All right. Distinctly. All right. All right. So now when we go to count, we have so we have iambic octameter, or trochaic, sorry, not iambic, trochaic octameter. Next sentence. Double, double, toil, and trouble. Now, toil's a tricky word. Toil's only one syllable. It's a strong one, though. All right. Trouble. And the same goes for double. You wouldn't say double, double, toil and trouble. Double. All right. Break it up. Doop, doop, doop. Count. And we have trochaic tetrameter. I'm just going to write tetra because we're low on room. Next one. 'Twas the night before Christmas and all through the house. Right? Your strong words. Night. House. We stress the Christ in Christmas, right? Christmas, not Christmas. The is a weak word. The is a weak word. All right. This really isn't giving us too many clues. Before is kind of a weak word all around. All right. 'Twas. Right? Hopefully when you say it, you can hear it. 'Twas the night before Christmas and all through the house. All right. You might want to snap along. All right. 'Twas the night before Christmas and all through the house. How many snaps were there? 'Twas the night before Christmas and all through the house. All right. 4. All right. We heard 4 snaps, so we should have 4 stresses. All right. 'Twas the night, stressed, so that's good. Before Christmas, right? 'Twas the night before Christmas and all, so there reveals our 4th. through the house. All right, and the rest will be unstressed. This is a more difficult one. All right. Anapaestic. Tetrameter. Good. Last one. But hark, what light through yonder window breaks? All right, this time. All right. Light. Let me use a different color so that way we could see it more distinctly. Brown. There we go. Light is a strong word. Hark, it even has an exclamation point at the end. All right. Breaks. It's broken. All right. We want to emphasize all those. Yonder. Window. All right. He went out the window. Not he went out the window. All right. That sounds like he fell. That's no good. All right. And so this is a Shakespeare line, so it's not a surprise. It's iambic pentameter. Here's our last slide. Again, you may want to pause, try them out yourself, and work from there. So I'm going to start with the middle one, because I think the middle one's the more easier one, all right, or the easier one. So we begin, all right. Strive, seek, find, yield. Easy. All right. 2, not stressed. All right. We can fill in the blank. The pattern is clear. To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5. This is probably another Shakespeare line because it's iambic pentameter. We'll jump down to the bottom one with the dew and damp of meadows. All right, dew, damp, the is a weak word, and's a weak word, of is a pretty weak word. All right. Meadows, 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 with, doot, doot, doot. All right, so we see it's trochaic tetrameter. Make sure you put your numbers just to confirm. Good. And now for the last one. Just for a handful of silver he left us with. Oof. All right. Well, handful is a pretty strong word. You can hear the handful. All right. Plus we have a suffix. That's weak. Silver. Is a weak word. Put that a little closer to the A. Right? Of is a pretty weak word, right? It was, if we look down here, all right, it was unstressed. All right, so we can see the pattern. Good. Okay, so, all right, hopefully we can figure out the rest. And we're left with dactylic tetrameter. Now this isn't all easy, especially dactylic and anapaestic is a little on the tough side. All right, but you should be able to identify iambic and trochaic on your Shakespeare tests with no issues. All right, if you do have issues, extra help is frequently available. Be sure to see me. All right, I hope this helped, and if there's any questions, please bother me.